What's up? Welcome to your Self-Helpless snack, where we give you a little taste of the Self-Helpless podcast with a mini episode. If you want to dive deeper into this topic, you can find the full episode linked in this episode's description. What is your experience with dieting and weight loss in the past? How do you feel about diets, and how did you end up here?
I just did every diet. I grew up really overweight. At 9 years old, I started gaining weight. And then by like eighth grade, I weighed 210 pounds and was about 5 feet tall and um, just always suffered with my weight. Like when I had my son, I quit weighing at 250. Like I was just like, I can't look anymore. And then when I had him, I didn't lose any weight. You know how like some people say like, "Oh yeah, if you nurse, you'll just drop all your weight." No, I didn't lose a damn pound. Like I gained weight. I was like, "Where's my nursing weight loss?" Like, oh, you're like I was so devastated.
Yeah.
So I did Weight Watchers about 1,000 times. The first time I went I was like 11. I did the military diet, random weird stuff. I did Jenny Craig. I did shake things. I did everything. I took pills. Like I was very desperate to lose weight. And what it did was it just like really screwed with my mind. I developed a relationship with food where it was either you eat out of control or you eat hopelessly or you just eat whatever you want because why bother? Or you had to be very strict, very hungry, very deprived, no social life. Like it was the ultimate in the black and white experience. So I did that most of my life. And when I finally decided to lose weight for this last time, I was at a really rock bottom place in my life. My son was a year old. I was suffering from postpartum depression. I'd been nursing for a year. I was laying on the couch all day long, just like I couldn't keep up with him. It was just not a good time for Corinne. And I just had this day where I knew things had to change. And, you know, a lot of times when we hit I wish I never had to like hit my rock bottom, but that day, it's like I needed it. I needed to know that something is better out there for me because I felt like I was at my complete worst in that moment. Not necessarily because of my weight, but like it was this mental load I was carrying. Like it wasn't just that I was overweight, it was like 200 being over 250 meant I was a burden to my husband. He must be ashamed of me. And he's never been ashamed of me. He's loved me at all sizes. He married me at 250. So, I mean, if I was 175, I did the traditional diet down for your wedding, started at 250, got to 175, went right back up. And so my mental load was just so heavy. And I just decided that day, I'm going to lose weight. And I don't know I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm going to figure it out. And the next day I got up and I went for a 15-minute walk and I just made some agreements with myself that I knew that after so many failures that I needed to take things slow and easy because what was going to be important for me was some consistency, was not failing. And I didn't weigh. I was being very consistent about little changes. I made sure that anything that I said I would do that day, I felt like, okay, I can do this and I can even do it if I don't feel like it. If in the moment when I don't feel like it, I can still talk myself into it because it's so small. And that's how I started. And that's all I did throughout the whole journey. As I went longer and longer, I started realizing that the reason why so many of my diets in the past failed was because I had to morph into a whole new human being just to do them. I really needed a plan that I was crafting based on where I was each day and what I needed each day and what I was willing to do each day. And that's how it worked. But all those diets, man, it took a lot of moments where, like, I remember going to McDonald's and ordering. Normally, my order was a number two supersized, which is the two cheeseburgers, sub mustard for mayo, a Butterfinger McFlurry and a Diet Dr. Pepper and just supersize all of it. And I remember the first time going and saying, well, the only thing I can do today is I can just eat mustard instead of mayo. I don't have to keep slapping mayo on my burgers. And I remember my brain screaming, this isn't good enough. And I remember also telling myself, but this is what we can do today. Like we agreed, no matter what, we were just going to make some kind of a small change. We were always going to only do the things we were willing. This is all I got in the tank today. And that helped me realize like, well, if you can do that, maybe you can do something different tomorrow. And that's where it all started for me.
I'd imagine that just builds so much trust with yourself that just snowballs into more and more change. And one of the things that you say that I love is lose weight the way that you live your life. Could you expand on that, on like what that really means to you and how you teach that?
Yeah. So like I love food. I always have. And I just knew I didn't want to be the kind of person who couldn't eat foods she enjoyed. What I wanted to be was the kind of person who could eat the foods she enjoys when she's really going to enjoy them, not because she's having a bad day, not because she's tired, not because she's afraid she's going to waste her money, not get her money's worth, hurt somebody's feelings. That's the kind of person I didn't want to be anymore. I didn't want to be someone like I didn't to lose weight. I had to lose that version of me. I didn't need to lose carbs and I didn't need to lose drop all my calories down and I didn't need to lose all my favorite foods. What I had to do is I had to lose my bullshit mindset around them. That was always causing me to overeat them. But I will be honest, like over the years, I've learned, like I now love salads. I love French fries and tater tots. It's like I'm a big savory girl. I only have one sweet on my list. The other four are all in the savory category.
I'm the same way. Yes.
I don't eat that stuff all the time now. I eat it when I'm really going to enjoy it, when it's worth it. Like I'm not just going to eat any nacho. Like if I'm not going to go to a baseball game and order nachos there, but I will go to a restaurant that's worth it. So I just got really good about like realizing I can eat the things I like. Now we're going to do it real intentionally. It's going to matter when we do it because most of my life I spent food didn't matter. It was comfort. It was the end of a bad day. It erased mommy guilt. It helped me relax. But I was like, I want to be the kind of person who's proud of herself as a mom. I don't want to be the person who eats ice cream because she's not. I need to learn how to be a proud mother. I need to learn how to do that stuff. And so that was what was really important to me. And when I figured out, like, so you can eat food you love. This is how we want to live our life. And I think that's important about that statement. When we say we're going to lose weight the way we want to live our life, that doesn't just mean nachos. That means not underappreciating ourselves every day to the point that we need to eat food to compensate. Like the way I wanted to live my life was defined, like I wanted to be an active mom so bad. I wanted to be the kind of mom that set Logan up to eat better than I was taught when I was a kid. I didn't want him to be a fast food baby like I was. My mom was a single mother working 2 jobs. Our dining room table was the front seat and the back seat of the car. And our restaurant of choice was any drive-through that was on the way to the next job or babysitter. That was dinner. That was lunch. That was what we ate. And so I knew like I wanted to be the person who set him up differently than her. So the way I wanted to live my life, it was like, this is more than just what I'm going to eat. This is who I'm going to be too.
One line that you said on your podcast completely changed my life. It was something along the lines of, when you were eating, when you were not hungry, that was like the best coping mechanism you had at that point in your life. And now you basically get to choose a new one or hone in on a new one. Instantly, I just felt like this guilt, shame, frustration just completely dissipate, to where I felt like almost grateful or proud of my former self that she just did whatever the hell she needed to do to get through some difficult times. And that was a game changer, an instant mindset shift. Can you share why it's so important to release or dive into those feelings of shame or guilt or anything for this process?
Yeah, it is like for all of you, I want you to think about this. If you are ever eating over shame and guilt, then you cannot lose weight from shame or guilt. Most of us, those feelings are so charged that we have taught ourselves to eat to get away from them. And if you spend a lot of time like looking at your past, hating on your past self, thinking she shouldn't have done that. She set me up now to, have that extra 20 pounds, whatever it is. You're creating all of those awful feelings in you. And this is the weird thing about when we hate on our past self, our inner subconscious knows we're actually hating on us. It's not like she's a whole different human being. She's us, and she lives inside of you. And so our opportunity is to figure out like those moments where you have all that like regret, the second guessing, the shame or the guilt from your past. You've got to go back and you need to hug that version of you and ask her, tell me why you needed it then. Because today I want to be the person that carries us through in a new way. And when you go back and you look at it not through shame and guilt, and you actually have these conversations with past selves, what was going on for you? What were you missing? I walk women through almost weekly now of like, let's just go back and talk to that version of you that you right now might be disappointed or angry. And let's just see what was going on for her. And they almost always are bawling and they realize that they were literally doing the best they can. They didn't know what else to do. They had hit their shit tolerance. Like I have several clients that regained weight during COVID because they lost people. Some of them lost 2 and 3 family members during COVID. And we go back and we look at that and they're like, I now realize I'd never had to deal with grief, or I'd never had to deal with grief at that level. And I didn't know what to do with myself. It was the best thing that I can do. So now what I can do is love that version of me and say, you can rest. I got this.
So glad you tuned into Self-Helpless. If you felt supported by this or past episodes, there are a couple ways you can help the show. Feel free to share it with a friend who may enjoy the variety of discussions we have here. Also, you can become a monthly or annual supporter of the podcast on Patreon at patreon.com/selfhelpless. That's where you can pitch and vote on topics, submit questions for special guests, or be a silent supporter and not participate in any of that. 100% of Patreon and merch proceeds go directly to operating expenses that not only keep the show going through thick and thin, but also keeps it accessible to all with minimal ads. If you want to show a little extra lovin', you can leave an Apple Podcast review or send an email to share how Self-Helpless has impacted you. All of this info and more goodies can be found at selfhelplesspodcast.com. All right, love you big time, and thank you so much.